Hello, everyone. My name's Ian King. Welcome back to the NSMA Award Winner 2021 interviews. I'm here with the voice of the Marshall Herd, Dave Wilson. Dave, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Ian. Thanks, buddy.
If you don't mind, we can just get started. The first question I want to ask talks a little bit about the sportscaster industry and how difficult it is to enter. How did you get your start in the sports media industry?
Well, I guess I got my start first in radio. And coming out of high school, my first job in radio was as an overnight disc jockey at my hometown radio station, playing light rock. Imagine trying to stay awake all night playing John Mayer all night. That was my first job, and that's how I got into radio. And when I went to Marshall University, I went into the journalism school. I was in broadcasting and got involved there with the student station, WMUL. And that's really how I got my start and started to get experience in this business.
And then obviously, this is your first time winning the West Virginia Sportscaster of the Year award, a great honor from your colleagues. What does this award mean to you?
I was totally shocked because there are some great broadcasters here in West Virginia. And folks may not know that, but, guys like Steve Cotton and Tony Caridi, but the guys I work with on the Metro News Radio Network, Fred Persinger, Travis Jones, Kyle Wiggs, these are great broadcasters on radio, not to mention the TV guys that I know and who work their tails off. So when I found out, I didn't believe it at first, but it is very humbling to think that my name is on a list with some of the guys that I mentioned. It's very humbling that at least a couple of people apparently thought enough of what I do to consider me, to be in that class of sportscaster.
Definitely is a great honor, and congratulations again on winning this award. The next question I want to ask relates to your experiences commentating on teams and just traveling with the teams. Do you have a specific team that you've commentated for throughout your career that you would consider the most fun or most exciting?
I'm not sure, because each one of them are kind of unique, whether I'm doing work with Marshall University with football and basketball, or I'm doing high school games. There's a local high school team, Morgantown High School, that I do every Friday night. And those guys all have their personalities, and the basketball players all have their personalities. So I don't know if there's one that stands out over the others, because there have been guys that I've gotten to know that I really liked, and I hated to see them graduate and move on. There have been other guys that I was happy that they graduated and moved on. I didn't have to deal with them anymore. So I don't know if any one particular stands out. They're all each different, and they've all been fun to cover in their own way.
Then a little bit of a follow-up off of that. Obviously, calling a bunch of different teams at different levels, you'll get to meet a lot of different types of players. Do you have a specific player that you consider the most fun to watch, or just to get to know as well?
Some of the basketball players, because I get to travel a little more with the basketball team and interact with them. John Elmore, who was a shooting guard for Marshall a couple of years ago. Maybe you remember him, the term. He had the shot from like 36 feet, some crazy three-pointer, but he was a really funny guy. If you got away from the court and interacting, just personally, he was a lot of fun. Just to watch him joke around, just to talk to. A couple of the linemen, I really learned a lot talking to them after games at Marshall, learning about what exactly the offense was trying to achieve, what they were trying to do. And always enjoyed talking to Chris Jaspers, who was a center for Marshall. Levi Brown, always enjoyed talking to him after games. We do post-game interview, and Levi's, could diagram a play on his hand for me to explain it. So I got a better understanding of what they were trying to do. And I really enjoyed, again, getting to talk to them and learning something from them. And of course, Elmore's case, laughing at them sometimes.
Thank you, Dave. Obviously, you've got to meet a lot of different players and been really involved within the sports world throughout your career. When did you realize young in your life that you wanted to be a sportscaster?
I think it was somewhere. There's different versions of the story. My mother would tell you very early on, she knew I wanted to get into radio. I consider myself a radio guy first. When I was a kid, it's going to sound funny to you. We had to dub our CDs onto cassette tapes to play them in the car. Well, I would dub the CD on a cassette tape, but I would also be the disc jockey, and I would do commercials. I would do Paul Harvey. So if you ask my mother, she'd tell you I wanted to get into radio at a very early age. But it was somewhere in high school that I thought, well, maybe I could go into this for as a career. And my high school journalism teacher, Mrs. Yop, facilitated that, maybe enabled it a little bit by letting us turn the morning announcements at school into a 10-minute news program of the announcements, letting me and a friend of mine take the camera and do a mock broadcast of a basketball game for no other reason than we really wanted to. But it was somewhere along there I went, you know what? I strike out way too much. I don't think the major leagues are in my future, but maybe I can cover sports and make a living out of that. And it hasn't turned out too bad so far.
You definitely had a successful career so far. Obviously, being commended by your colleagues must be something that's a great honor. Clearly, being someone that's respected in your field, do you have any advice for young aspiring broadcasters? Like you said, being in high school and knowing what you want to do, there's a lot of people that were just like you are, including myself and many other people that want this profession. Do you have any advice for those people aspiring to get to where you are?
This is going to sound really, probably funny. Learn to read and write. So often, and recently especially, when we have looked at hiring a young reporter or trying to bring somebody in on a part-time basis, when I say learn to read and write, work on your craft, learn how to use your words to very efficiently tell a story, whether you're being, to do a newscast, a sportscast, whether you are doing sports talk or you're doing play-by-play. Learn the language, learn to use those words, and learn to write. Everything is going to be based off writing, whether you are writing an article that goes on a website, whether you have to write a scene setter that leads into the game you're calling that day, or I know some guys who will write out their monologues for their talk shows so they know exactly what points they want to make, and so they make them. My point is, excuse me, we'll get some of these young guys who think they can write, they think they can read, but they can't. I know it sounds weird. So learn to read and write. My other advice would be open-minded, because you never know where an opportunity will present itself that you go, oh, that's not for me. I don't want to be a news guy. I don't want to be that. I'm a play-by-play man. I'm this kind of a broadcaster. Keep open-minded, because an opportunity may present itself and you may find that, wow, I really love doing this. I never thought I would. Or that opportunity leads to the next opportunity down the road that leads you to your big break. So learn to read and write, keep open mind.
Thank you, Dave. That is some great advice for the aspiring sportscasters out there. That'll do it for our interview today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you this summer.
I look forward to seeing you guys down there.